All right. Well, hey, everybody, welcome. Happy Valentine's Day. It's here again. It's never too late. If you haven't got your gift and your card yet, you still got time. And if you don't have time, Jason, my right-hand guy here, he's got a little surprise for you here at the end to maybe cover your bases. So anyway, thanks for joining us. I hope it's been a good day for you. And we're talking about succession planning and acquisitions. They kind of go together for us. And so let's just jump in and we'll take off here. So we got a little agenda. These are the four things that we're going to look at: is retirement on the horizon, what's your options, kind of talk about that a little bit, what affects the value of your business. So, the policy mix, what's in your book, how does that affect the value? Is there anything that you can do to increase the value? We'll talk about a few of those things. And then timing, now or later. Should I do it now or should I wait a little bit? So that's going to be the things we're talking about today, guys. And, before we get going too, any questions, I think you can put them in the chat box and we'll kind of hit them as we go, or we'll have a Q&A at the end too. So just feel free and throw them in there as they come to your mind. So number one, retirement on the horizon. I was having lunch with my buddy Kirk today, and I'm 63, Kirk's 60, and we were just talking about, isn't it crazy how your conversation changes as we get older? We don't talk about the same stuff that we talked about 20 years ago, but here it is, it sneaks up on us. And, I think it affects different people differently. I can remember one of the first books that we bought was from a guy named Roger down in Southern Illinois. Great guy, did business with us for probably 20 years or so. And we were really getting interested in buying books. And I would reach out to Roger. I talk to him all the time, say, hey, are you thinking about, no, I don't know what I would do. I don't think I'm ever going to retire. And then one day, out of the blue, he calls me and he goes, John, I'm ready. I'm ready to go right now. I said, what's happened? And in his case, he had a close friend get cancer and die completely out of left field. And I think just a bell went off in his head. And he said, you know what, it's time for me to do it. But so some of you might be there, but an awful lot of the people that we talk to, it's a process. And I will get calls really regularly from agents saying, I think I'm a year, maybe I'm 2 years away, but I just want to start talking to you about it. I want to get an idea of how this works. What's this look like? What can I expect? What would maybe the value do you think would be on my book right now? And, we love those calls. I know, Jeff and I, my business partner, Jeff Sams, when we sold our company, it's been 2.5 years now. It was a 3-year decision for us. It took us 3 years before we really felt comfortable and that it was right for us to do. So we get all of that. And if you feel like it's on the horizon, it doesn't have to be right on top of you, but if you feel like it's in the next few years, we'd love to be included in the conversation. So that's probably enough for that one, buddy. What's your options? Okay, so these aren't all inclusive, but there's some of them. So I think the first one, and I'm sure not the best one, but it's just to quit. And when I say quit, I don't mean like you just leave town, but you just really stop doing what you've always done. And maybe your book has gotten smaller over the last several years. And we'll have some agents that they're still in it. They're still licensed. Maybe if they're MA guys, they still are getting certified. But for all practical purposes, they've just quit. And it kind of leaves them hanging, and as well as it leaves their customers hanging too. So it's not a good plan, I guess, when no plan is a plan. And that's kind of what just quitting looks like. We think there's some better choices than that. So the next one that we have on here is sell to family. And I think this is a beautiful option if it works for you. If, first of all, you've got family that are in the business, or maybe if you're a few years away, want to be in the business, it's like everybody's dream. In fact, as a business owner and having kids in the business, kind of our own story here. Like I said earlier, I got a business partner, Jeff Sams. We've been in business together for 42 years now, since 1981, and we both have sons in the business. His son, Michael, has been with us now, I think 15 years, 16 years, and he runs our retail shop called Sam's Hockaday. And then my son, Luke, has been in the business 11 years, and he heads up our direct-to-consumer business, which we call Medicare Allies. And up until a few years ago, that was our plan, that we were going to succeed our business to our sons. We had had our business valued by an outside firm, and we were working closely with our accountant. And, we had a plan in place that as long as Jeff and I's health stayed good, we were both 60 at the time, we were going to try to stay in it to age 70. I'm giving you maybe more details than you want, but we had valued it at that age, at age 60, what our company was worth. And then from then on, for the next 10 years, whatever we grew, that addition would be split 4 ways. So it was giving those sons some instant equity in the business. And it was treating us, we felt, fairly for what we had built together up until that time when they were coming in that role. And that's what we were going to do. And I'm not saying if you've got family member, that's what's the right way to position it for you. But what ended up happening for us was we ended up selling to an outside organization. That in our case, it was Integrity Marketing Group. And looking back now, 3 years later, we're so glad that we did. It was really the right thing for us to do. And it was the right thing for our 2 sons, and it was the right thing for everybody here that works here. But the reason we did it wasn't because we didn't have faith in our children or our 2 boys to run it. It was just that so many things were going to be out of our control and out of their control. And in a lot of these family transitions, at least ours, Jeff and I would have had to be the bank. It was going to be a seller finance, which we would have to sell to our sons probably for the rest of our lives, because they wouldn't be in a position to go out and just write a check to buy it. And so basically our 2 sons were going to be handling our retirement plan. Most of our assets and net worth were in this company and still are. So it just never, it was the best that we could do. We had full faith and confidence in our 2 sons. They get along. It was a good scenario, but it ended up selling was a better solution for everybody. So that I'm giving that out there because even if you do have a family member, don't rule out the possibility of doing that if you're not for sure how you want to do it. I'm going to just stop right there and just say also on this, if you have a family member and you feel like we can be of help, which there's 0 in it for us, and we could care less about that. But if there's anything that we can help with, we'll just throw that out. Jeff and I'd be really happy and help any way we can if we can give some pointers or things that we had thought about or things that we had walked into. Okay, so enough on that one. Next bullet is sell to employee or partner. And this made me think of a recent agent that I talked to it's been a month ago, maybe. He's a guy out in Oregon, really seemed like a really sharp guy. We'd never done business before together, but he reached out to us. And he had a financial business. Mainly, his book was annuity, life, and DI. And he had a really, really powerful business. He had a really good book, but he was a one-man show. He had nobody. And I told him in our scenario, that would not be something that we would be interested in. But if I could help him find somebody to come in that he could mentor, because what he was saying was, I can't find anybody to pass this opportunity off to someone to sell it to, even at a seller financed method. And was asking me, do I have any ideas or any connections out his way? So we tried, I put him in touch with somebody, but in a scenario like that, you really have to have, a business partner or bring somebody into your business. Since that was so relational, there was no income stream. When you write an annuity, you make a big commission up front, and then you might not make anything else on that business ever, or it might be 5 or 10 years down the road. So it was totally relationship driven. And I said, you got to get somebody in there that you can begin to transition these relationships that you've cultivated over the last 30 or 40 years to this new guy. So when you're ready to step down, those people just don't all fly out, just don't fly away. So honestly, I really don't know how that ended up happening, but we tried, and we gave him a few contacts and tried to help. But that's another way. That's another possibility. The fourth one, and the one that we're going to talk a little bit more about today, is to sell to us, or maybe somebody like us. But this is something that we've really feel like we paid our dues on. I added up before I got on this call. So far, we've bought 16 books that are completed and done and down the road, and we're servicing those customers. We've got 6 right now in the pipeline that are going through the process of getting valued, and we'll see where they go. So last year we did 8 that we consummated and done, and they're up and running. We'd like to double that this year and do 16 to 20 maybe this year if we can, and we're scaling up our staff to do that. So that's what I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about today, and we'll just keep rolling here, okay? Any questions so far? Nothing. Perfect. Okay, what are you selling? What affects the value of your business? Let's go to the next bullet. So what are you selling? What we look for in our model is we're looking for renewing income streams. So that's products that you would sell, like MedSup, MedAdvantage, long-term care, final expense, pretty much all the ancillary products. Those kind of books and products that are in those books, that's what we're really after, where there's an income stream on them that we can give you a valuation for and make the sell on that. So they all have different multiples. So when I say, what are you selling? Typically it's a mixture of several of those things. It might be MedSup and MedAdvantage. It might be some ancillary. We still get some long-term care. Long-term care, by the way, has the highest multiple of anything that we've ever bought. So those multiples can vary depending on the product. Okay, let's click the next one, please. Age of customers and policies. That affects the value of your book as well. So on MedSup specifically, you guys all know in most states, MedSup commissions are level for 6 years. That's typically what it is. And so if we're buying a book that the business is fresh, in other words, it's all in the first or the second or the third contract year, that is going to get a higher value than a book that is in its 4th, 5th, or 6th year, or sometimes longer. Okay, it just makes sense. That really affects the value of your book. The age of your customer does too. So an older customer that doesn't have the opportunity, or you would think they're not going to have the chance to live as long and keep the business on the books as long, is going to have a lesser value. Now, I'm going to segue here just a little bit. We have a business partner in Omaha called Access Capital. We work really, really close with these guys, and their role in this whole procedure with us is they do the valuations for us. So we gather the information, then we give that to them, their actuaries, that's their background, and then they come back to us with a value to offer the seller. So when they do a valuation, they value each individual policy. They don't look at the book as a whole, like you've got 600 policies. They look at each one and they put a value on each policy. So it's based on the customer's age. It's based on how long the business has been on the books, a lot of different things. So the younger the customer and the fresher the business, the better it is as far as you're going to get a higher value is the way that we do it. So that's a little bit of what helps to give you some ideas on what affects the value. Product mix, I've kind of already talked about that a little bit. We're going to the next one, intangibles. This is really, really big in our model. Our model, guys, when we do an acquisition to help on a succession plan, is we treat it just like we do our retail agency here. We bring all of those customers into our office here. Medicare Allies is the company within our company that serves those customers. And we treat those customers like they've been our customers forever. I mean, we really, really do our best to overdo it as far as how we communicate to them. So when I say these intangibles, our best success is when we have an agent who's really been a good agent. When that agent is loved by his customers, they have a great relationship, they're friends, you can just tell when the agent is talking about their customers, the first thing out of their mouth is they want a good value, obviously, for what represents their career. They want to get the best deal that they can. But I mean, right next to that is I care about these customers and I want to make sure that they're taken care of. Well, when you have a book like that, that's a really valuable book for us, because that relationship that you've built or the seller has built, we feel like is able to be transferred to us. Okay, as opposed to, and there's books like out there, books like this out there that maybe the relationship isn't that tight, that's just not. They came in, they sold the customer, they gave them a good product, but there's not this, Well, those are harder for us to make stick like we can these ones where the relationship is really strong. So that in our model affects the value of the book as well. That would be worth more to us and what we'd be able to offer than the other side. Okay, next slide. Timing, now or later. It's everybody's different on this one, but I can tell you what I'm really experiencing in the last 2 years is a couple of things that I feel like are, I'm going to say, pushing some guys and ladies out that maybe we're saying, you know what, I'm thinking in the next 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be ready to turn the page and sell my book and retire. But now some of them are saying, you know what, I don't want to go through all the more heavy compliance that's been put on our industry, and they just don't want to do it. So instead of waiting 3 years, they're saying, you know what, I want to look at it now and see if this makes sense for me to do it now. So I would say that's, especially in the MA space, that's probably the number one thing. The number two thing, right under, we don't have a dot for that one, but I'm going to put it right with the compliance, is technology. So, my age group and older than me, there's a few rare guys in there that they love technology, but for the most part, a lot of us, like me, struggle with it. And when we see our industry is going to everything is electronic apps, just doing Zoom calls and stuff like this, if Jason wasn't here to help me do this, I would be a wreck right now trying to figure out what I had to do. But just the whole technology piece of it, that's real, it's never going to go away. It's never going to get less. It's only going to get more. I think that too is kind of making agents think maybe now sounds better to me than later. Okay, next bullet is shrinkage. And I don't know if this is something that you look at, but I think you should, guys, is if you're noticing, this is a real easy indicator, if you're noticing your income is going down consistently, for the last 2 or 3 years. You know, it's got to be telling you a couple of things. It's got to be telling you one thing, you really are slowing down. You're not working as much, which is okay. You shouldn't. And the other thing it's telling you is that you're losing customers. You know, the customers that we work with in the senior space, we lose them. You know, we lose them to dying. Sometimes we lose them to competition or they go another direction. But normally we know we got to be bringing in more in the front door than what's going out the back door in order for us to keep growing, right? And if you're seeing your book go down like this, it's probably leaning towards you're not working as much, and you know, you ought to put the brakes on and really take a hard look, get your book valued now rather than see it continue to decline, because that's what's going to happen. So that's a bullet too to think about. The next one is lost your passion. Really, those two bullets there, that shrinkage of your book and losing passion kind of go hand in hand, you know, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing guilty or wrong. It's just things change, you know, our lives change, how we think changes, what our passions are, what we want to do with the rest of our lives changes. I know I'm in the fourth quarter. At the very best, I'm at the timeout between the third and the fourth quarter, you know, but I'm in the fourth quarter. So I love what I do right now. I love the people I work with. I don't want to change anything right now, but I definitely think about things differently than I did 10 years ago. And so if you see yourself losing your passion on it, maybe it's something you need to explore and find something that you really can be passionate about, you know, for the runway you got ahead of you. So if you're losing your passion, I think about that. Okay, here's another little tip on updating your book. I think, do I got that one? Yeah, there it is. Update your book. You know, one thing you can do, especially if it's a med sup book, okay, if you got a lot of med sup business on the books, or at least some, and you think, okay, and let's say in the next year, I think I'm going to do this. What you can do to get the most value out of your book is go back, see your customers, and get them current. You know how the med sup business works. Your rate is going to go up every year. You know it is. And after, like we said earlier, in most states, after 6 years, the commission drops off altogether, or it significantly reduces. Well, that significantly reduces the value of your book. If you can go back and make it a priority, like this next year, or this next 6 months, the policies that I have, that I know my customers are healthy enough that I can update them, I can get them into a new med sup, save them money significantly a lot of the times. You're going to make a new commission, but it really enhances the value of your book, because now we've got 6 years of commissions or 5 years of commissions to work with, rather than maybe just 1 or 2 by getting it fresh. That's really a big thing that you can do. It's almost like if you're going to sell your house, you know how you do, you paint all the rooms, you repair the things that need repaired, maybe you put new carpet in, because you want to get the best value for your book that you can get. That's a good analogy, that you can do the same thing with your book and update that, and it's going to enhance your value a lot. So, you know what? I think I've been rattling for almost 25 minutes. And I think I'm done. You know, next steps is, if you'd like to talk more about this or anything, maybe it's a succession plan, you don't have any desire to sell, but you've got a situation where if we can help on the succession part, call us. We'll be glad to help. If you'd like to schedule a call with me, that's usually how these things get started, is we just have a get to know each other, 15 to 30-minute call. I kind of understand you, understand what your book looks like, all those kind of things, and what next steps are. That's the best place to start right now, if that sounds like you. So, any questions, Jason?
Belinda just had a comment. There is a carrier that pays lifetime commission on subs.
Yeah, and there are. Yeah, there are some, and we have some too. And on those books are going to get a higher value. Thank you for calling me out on that, but those values are going to be a higher value because of that lifetime comp. They're worth more. Any questions? I'm getting off easy. Well, Jason has a drawing here. What kind of a car was it you're drawing for, Jason? No, he's got a little something up his sleeve for Valentine's Day for all of you. Really appreciate your attention and listening in. And do we have one?
Yeah, we do have one question. The service you provide to clients you've purchased is all done over the telephone?
It's all done remote. Yeah, it is, unless they would be geographically close. We're in central Illinois where we're located. But yes, the customers, the books of business that we bought and the customers that we bought in here, we work them all and serve them all from here. Now, to tell you what we do, maybe more than what you want to know, once they're into our system, they get a newsletter from us every 2 weeks that we produce. It's not an insurance-y thing. It's really just a senior interest, just anything that applies in the senior space, just a way for them to know that we're here, we're with them. We contact them personally several times over the course of a year by phone and through other means. So
yeah, that includes postcards,
right,
welcome letters,
right,
emails.
Right. So we touch them an awful lot, and we feel like we have to, since we know if we buy a book in Florida, I'm not going to open an office in Florida to serve that book. We're going to serve them from here. Anything else?
Doesn't look like it. Guys, if you're late for Valentine's Day and haven't got your spouse anything, we've got some really corny Valentine's Day cards for you. So I just put the link in the chat. Download those and impress your significant other. Pamela, NHM is the best of the best. You've been mentors and friends for many years. I'll definitely pass along this information. Yeah, thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Is that newsletter available under New Horizons? No, this is separate. That newsletter is written specifically for Medicare allies.
Right. It's a consumer focused newsletter. Okay, guys. Well, don't be strangers. Anything at all that we can do, just holler. We'll help any way we can. All right. Have a great one. Have a great Valentine's.